Nigeria lost its former president, General Muhammadu Buhari, the other day in London, of course. Naturally, the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a public holiday and rolled out a state funeral. Watch.
The remains of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari arrived in a few minutes before 2 o'clock.
Of the Nigeria's former president, Muhammadu Buhari.
As expected, Buhari's death sparked mixed reactions across the country. Some Nigerians mourned family members, friends, political associates, and even a man of God. Look at him. Yes, Tunde Bakare, a man who once was tapped as Buhari's running mate during one of Buhari's failed presidential campaigns. This is the same Bakare who swore God promised him he will be the 14th president of Nigeria. What presidency are we in now? Anyway, here is what he had to say. Watch.
We got home and he staggered. The next word he spoke, God is my witness, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I said, Mr. President, General, what is that? He said, you do not have monopoly of Jesus Christ.
Yes, you heard the man. General Muhammadu Buhari once screamed, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Now, that is a holy stumble. The man stumbled and screamed, Jesus Christ. It's like imagining Bola Tinubu yelling, angry at Sheish, yelling, go back to your father, Ojuku. Okay, I'm just kidding. And we have to try to make it laugh a little bit. Calm down. It's a joke. Now, not everyone was mourning the death of Buhari. Some were, let's say, celebrating Buhari's passing. Some even went to the streets to dance. Take a look. That included his political foes, victims of his policies. Sowore called him a waste of space who left a terrible legacy for Nigeria. While others wept, Sowore was busy calculating how much Buhari's London treatment cost Nigerians, taxpayers. Yes, that was all he did. But truly, mixed reactions to a leader's death are normal. It is the first kind of judgment before that other one nobody is sure of. Sasha! Tweet that out. When a man dies, those within his sphere of influence deliver the first judgment. The next one, only God knows. Now, for the dead, our opinions no longer matter. For the living, they should. They should make us ask the question, what will people say when I die? Sadly, many Africans focus on just today, this earth that we can see. What comes after hardly matters. And that, right there, my friends, is why we are where we. Sasha!
Why this country is where we are today and why we are where we are.
The fact that Buhari died in London and Nigerian leaders flew out to the UK to sign condolence registers for a man they once worked with is another disgrace altogether. We will get back to that. But let me put this on the record. If I die before any of these Nigerian leaders, Obasanjo, Tinubu, David Mark, Godswill Akpabio, the whole gang that are left, if I die before any of them, kindly replay this video. Not for them, for you guys. Because when they go, history won't forget. When Ugandan dictator Idi Amin Dada died in exile in Saudi Arabia, the Sydney Morning Herald published this line in his obituary. It says, Idi Amin's tragedy, like that of so many Africans, was to admire a civilization whose trappings he desired, but whose workings he never understood. He used advanced methods to achieve brutal, primitive ends. He was Confucian's masterpiece. Yes! Sounds familiar? Buhari was Confucian's masterpiece. He admired London's hospitals, but he never figured out how to replicate even a clinic in Nigeria after 8 years in power. The same will be said of Obasanjo. And if Tinubu is not careful, his own chapter will be written with the same ink. They love Western infrastructure, but have no idea how the systems behind it work. No, they grab shiny tools and use them to dig ditches for us to fall into. And then they crown themselves Grand Commander of the Federal Republic in a country with no electricity, no water, no internet, no gas, no security, no public libraries, and not even functioning public toilets. Yes, especially that toilet, public toilets. 200 years from now, Nigerians, assuming we're still here, will look back at these so-called leaders and dismiss them as primitive people in Abada who squandered time and opportunities and dragged a whole people back into the dark ages. He who has ears, let him hear. He who doesn't, let him keep running into the bush. Africans, who did this to us? Who did this to us? Of all the reactions to Buhari's death, the one that slapped hardest came from none other than Femi Adesina, his former media advisor. Femi used the same mouth that he uses to eat amala and ewedu to tell us without shame that Buhari would have died much earlier if he had been treated in Nigeria. Can you imagine that? Look at the headline. He said it. Play the video for them.
If he had said, I'll do my medicals in Nigeria just as a show-off or something, he could have long been dead because there may not be the expertise needed in the country.
As a doctor in good standing, I nearly passed out. If I were from St. Lucia and I had this, why would I send my kids to school in Nigeria with the scholarship Tinubu gave them? Why would I accept doctors from a country where even their president avoids its hospitals? Why? We have top-tier Nigerian doctors, world-class professionals everywhere. Many have left the country, yes, but they are still Nigerians. Buhari could have followed Oshibajo's example. Fly those doctors home. Bring in foreign consultants if you need them, if they're necessary. That is what Fidel Castro did. Spanish doctors came in to Havana working with Cubans to treat him. But no! Our leaders see no value in national dignity. They don't realize what they represent. No. Nigeria is the most populous black nation on earth. If we all vanished, 1 in every 5 black people will vanish out of this earth. Let that sink in. 1 out of 5. Would the president of a white majority nation, representing 20% of the global white population, hand himself over to the same foreign systems that colonized and enslaved his people and continues to exploit his people? Never. Never. But African leaders, they will gladly let the colonizers poke their veins, scan their brains, and change their diapers. Yes. To Fiakwa. I met Buhari once. Yeah. He seemed like a decent guy until I asked him a question about Biafra. Listen.
What I see is no good. This strongly about creating a state within Nigeria that will build a party and campaign. And the people elected, because they want to be outside Nigeria.
Yeah, the tragedy. We expect these people, ill-educated, ill-informed, unprepared, to lead us to a place that will look like London. That is not their tragedy. It is ours. It is ours. Buhari's wife and children attended the funeral. Yes, that is important, not just before Nnamdi Kanu's followers. No. But for Bishop David Oyedepo's worshippers. Just imagine the scandal if Buhari's wife and children had not attended. See, public figures have private lives. Wives, concubines, side chicks, children, legitimate and otherwise. They have private lives. We forgot this when we give it to them. And I'm not just talking about keyboard warriors like most of you. Most of you watching. No, even anointed men of God, they forget. Case in point, Bishop David Oyedepo.
That President Buhari had died in the UK in 2017 where he was undergoing medical treatment. That the entrenched cabal in Rock had procured a Buhari double in Sudan and pressed him into service as Nigerian's president.
Watch.
But if the president will not address the nation on a subject as sensitive as this, it must have been proved beyond any iota of doubt that maybe he's not our president.
Yes, that was David Oyedepo of the Winners' Chapel, escalating, cementing Nnamdi Kanu's claim that Buhari died in 2017 and that the person in Rock then was Jubril from Sudan. Yes, Bishop David Oyedepo of Winners' Chapel stood in the pulpit and declared to millions of people watching him that the man in Rock was a clone and that Buhari, if he wasn't, he should come out and tell the nation. Now, here is a real comedy. Oyedepo was reading a satire written by Olatunji Dare, published in the Nation newspaper of November 2018. Not news, not investigative reports, satire. But the bishop read it like CNN breaking news. Apparently, they don't teach satire in divinity school in Nigeria. Apparently. If I had $1 for every person who quoted that sermon in recent days as proof that Nnamdi Kanu was right, I would be living in Banana Island right now. In any case, may Buhari's soul rest in peace. My condolences to his family, to those Nigerians who choose to mourn. For those who don't, that is your right too. I leave you with this reflection. It is written on page 419 of Meditation 17 by John Donne. And it says, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the man. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind. Therefore, never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee." Until next time, I'm Dr. Damages. I diagnose you yourself.